This is going to be a comparison of how to do image editing in Photoshop and compare it to image editing in Revise. I'm going to open a website that does demonstrations of how to do things in Photoshop, and in this case we're going to look at how to adjust skin tones, and the issue is that well, he'll tell you.
I'm going to show you how to match skin tone in Photoshop.
And we'll watch this for a few seconds. Actually, it's pretty long. It's 16 minutes, and we don't want to watch that. So I'll skip ahead rapidly. Probably give about 2 or 3 minute overview of what they're trying to do.
Hey guys, and welcome to Flern. My name is Aaron Nace, and you can find me on the all-new redesigned Flern.com, where we make learning Photoshop and photography fun. I'm excited about today's episode.
Okay.
Makeup, or they just have like more of a tan on their body, or whatever it is. Oftentimes there's like one part of their body that just doesn't match the color of the rest of their body. So
Okay, we see the problem. Matching skin tones.
It's an awesome image. It's done really, really well, except for there's a pretty big difference between the color of her face and the color of her body. So we're actually going to show you guys how to fix this. Now, to start off, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys how to analyze this in a way that's going to help you out a little bit. So we're going to create a new in the highlight, you know, like kind of the mid-tab.
Well,
we're getting some reds in there, and then
he's not really fixing it yet. He's doing color samples so you can see that you need a transform between the colors.
Red in it, or a little bit even more blue, like how I would find those colors by going over here. We're going to have to make her face tones. We're going to have to make those a little bit darker, and we're going to have to add a little bit more yellow to levels. And to do that, I'm going to give you guys a brief explanation of how levels work, because they're really
cool.
So
the tool he's using in Photoshop is called levels.
Levels, creating a new levels adjustment layer. All right, let's just zoom in, and I'm going to show you guys a little bit how these levels actually work, because a lot of people use levels, I feel like, to like 30% as much as they possibly could. Okay, so basically we've got two sliders up here and our histogram. Our slider up at the top, these are our input levels. We've got three little controls. We've got our black point, our midpoint, and our white point. So if we take our black point and we take this and bring this to the right, what it does is it makes the darks darker. Okay? If we take this point from the right and we bring it to the left, it's going to make our lights lighter. There we go.
Did you see the colors clip?
Is going to
the
make
highlights
the
clip?
Either lighter or darker. All right, let's reset that. Now let's look at the slider down beneath. If I take this dark point and bring this up, it's going to make my darks lighter. Okay, so we haven't seen this yet. Up on the top, this is making our darks darker. This makes your darks lighter. This one up here is going to make our lights darker. And this one, again, is making the lights lighter. So you have a ton of control between these sliders. And this is just in black and white, right? But we can also adjust colors. So RGB, sorry, it's not in black and white. What I meant to say is this is just, it's adjusting the light levels, but it's not adjusting the color because we're in the RGB basically channel, which is a combination of the red, green, and the blue channel. So you can actually affect colors here. And this is why I really want to use levels here, because you can adjust exposure, lightness and darkness, and color at the exact same time, which is what we said we needed to do, right? We need to make her face a little bit darker, something like this. But because we want to take the light areas and dark, so if I grab this guy over here and bring it to the left, it's going to take my highlights, it's going to darken them down, and it's going to put more cyan in there, okay? Really, really cool. Now, the green channel is going to do this with magenta, adding more magenta, and on the bottom, it's going to add more green to the shadows. And the blue channel is going to add more blue most of the time. When you guys are going to be matching red and yellow, or magenta and yellow in this case, it's darkening everything down and making things a little bit warmer. The next step is to apply a layer mask on this, because I don't actually want this coloring to be visible everywhere else, right? If it was visible everywhere, we're not matching one color to another, we're just changing all the colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to group this layer with itself, and then I'm going to put a layer mask on the group. And here's why. If I put a layer mask on the group, I can put other layers inside of that group, and the layer mask for the group is going to count for all of those layers. Now I'll show you why that's important in just a second. So what this episode's called, right? We're going to match the skin tone of her face to the rest of her body. So I don't need to cover her lips, and I don't need to cover her eyeballs, because we don't need to darken and warm a person's eyeballs. That's tweak those changes that we made. Not hard, because we just have to go back to our levels adjustment layer, and we can just go here and start to pull these values around. And now I'm able to see, if you know, a lot of the time if you zoom out a little bit, it actually helps. I'm able to see how these look in comparison to the rest of the body. Like, that's obviously way too much blue, right? Alright. Sorry, way too much yellow. There we go. So that's, okay. So here we're going to grab a hue saturation adjustment layer, and I'm just going to take my saturation and drag it down a little bit. And you can see, like, obviously, if your image looks like that, that's too saturated. Okay, even like that's too saturated. If you're doing this technique and you're adding color to someone's skin, most of the time you will.
We're almost through.
So the reason why I put these both in the group is because this layer mask that I've got in the group is now the mask for this levels adjustment layer. We're almost done with this image. I'm going to go ahead and just delete these samples here. We're going to minimize our group, and then I'm going to lower the opacity of the group just a little bit, because I find that anytime I'm doing like color corrections, things like this, I tend to overdo things, and I think most people do. So usually I'll get it about where I want to, and then I'll just bring my opacity down to like 80 or so %. Then it's usually a little bit. Use this on any image where you have a color disparity from one part of the image to another. And remember, with one levels adjustment layer, you can adjust lightness and darkness as well as your different colors. Just make sure to get in there and play with your color channels. It's an amazing dialogue. And if you're at it, we release new videos just like this one every single week.
I think that's enough. So let's stop that, and let's take and do exactly what he did, only using Revise. Launch Revise. Now, I couldn't find the image he used to retouch, so I just did a screen capture. So this is not the full dynamic range. It's not a really great image. So we'll see what we can do with it. I'm going to zoom in and reposition. And the issue is the face looks different than the bum there. So we'll take our region that we're using to change things. I'm going to reduce the size so I can make this blend area very small, because we only want to affect the face area. Put it on the face. Well, I probably could have done a better job of doing that. Anyway, there it is. So the face is located. So the idea is we want to make the face match the bum. And as he said earlier, it's a little too bright and the color's off. So we can fix the brightness. We can go to the highlight control, back it off, and now it's the same brightness, but the color's off. Go to the hue shift, and we go from even more magenta to more green, but we find a point that's better. And I think because this is so dark over here that you could darken it using the tone edits, darker, lighter. But let's instead match the rest of the skin to the face. So we go to, instead of region 1, outside all of the regions. So now our adjustment's going to apply to everything except the face, and we want to make all of that lighter so you can see that everything else is lighter. And we're basically done. I'm going to go to all regions, and now that we've got the face and the body in the right proportion, if we make a change like brightness, then everything changes together, maintaining the color balance we achieved, the proportions we achieved. Now, this I think is a good result. Let me show you before and after. There's before, the face is much different. There's after our editing. But I think the skin should glow a little bit more. So let's go down to all regions, grays. This keeps the white point, which is the background, the black, which is the whatever, and we're going to add warmth to all the colors in between. Oh, let's do this just on warm colors, which are skin colors. And now you can see that our skin tones are warming up. So there we have the results. Here's before and here's after. Thank you.